In 1988, R.A. Salvatore published his first novel, The Crystal Shard. It was the first book of the widely popular and successful Icewind Dale trilogy, and the book that introduced us to the Dark Elf Ranger known as Drizzt Do'Urden and his companions of the Hall. Due to the enormous popularity of the character, Salvatore's next trilogy was a prequel that told the origins of Drizzt called the Dark Elf Trilogy, with the first novel, Homeland. Salvatore told us the story of Drizzt's humble beginnings as a second boy of House Do'Urden, and we get to read about the events that shaped the Drow warrior and turned him into the hero of the realms we know today. In this episode of Tony's Comic Spotlight, we begin a three-part weekly series exploring the first comic book appearance of Drizzt and shine the spotlight on the novelization of Homeland with The Legend of Drizzt Homeland issue number 1 from 2005. So I wanted to point out a few things that I noticed when I was editing, that I made a few mistakes. So just to get that out of the way. First off, in the intro, I said the book Crystal Shard was released in 1988. That was incorrect. It was released in 1989. Second thing, later on, I will refer to R.A. Salvatore as my favorite novel, when in fact I should have said R.A. Salvatore is my favorite author. The last thing that I want to point out is that throughout the video, when you hear the word Drizzt Do'Urden, you may hear me call him Drizzt, Drizzit, or Drizzt, because for the longest time, I think it led to Soldier, and there was a thing in there where a kid referred to him as Drizzit. I thought his name was Drizzit. Wasn't until I seen an interview a few years ago that R.A. Salvatore, I believe, referred to him as, in the same interview, as Drizzt and Drizzt. And it wasn't until I started listening to the audiobooks that they referred to him as Drizzt. So throughout this whole video, you may hear me pronounce the name 3 different ways, so don't worry about that. As far as I know, the correct pronunciation of his name is Drizzt Do'Urden. So I just want to get that out the way before we begin. So let's start the story. Never does a star grace this land with a poet's light of twinkling mysteries, nor does the sun send to here its rays of warmth and life. This is the Underdark, the secret world beneath the puzzling surface of the forgotten realms, whose sky is a ceiling of heartless stone, and whose walls show the gray blandness of death to the torchlights of the foolish surface dwellers that stumble here. This is not their land, not the world of light. Most who come here uninvited never return. This is the Underdark. There are pockets of life here, cities as great and as many as those of the surface. In a cavern 2 miles wide and 1,000 feet up looms the city of Menzoberranzan, the home of the Drow, Dark Elves. The city is perfection of form, where not a stone has been left to its natural shape. This sense of order and control, however, is a facade. The Drow are the rulers of this unruled world, the deadliest of the deadly, and all other races fear them. Ambition, betrayal, and murder are the values that drive Drow society. Here, words such as love, friendship, and loyalty have no meaning. Here, even those born of royal blood are prone to treachery. Drizzt Do'Urden, second boy to House Do'Urden, meets with Gelros Hune, aka the Faceless One, outside the Tower of Sorcerer, the Drow Wizard School. The Faceless One agrees to kill a student there by the name of Alton Dever, while Denon's family attacked the Dever compound that evening. Denon returns to House Do'Urden and assures his matron mother, Malice, that all is arranged and the family prepares for the attack on House Dever. Malice Do'Urden is pregnant and is assured will deliver this night. The third boy child is to be sacrificed to Loth as decreed. The attack is a 2-pronged assault. As the men of House Do'Urden attack the compound, the Do'Urden priestesses will attack Matron Jennifer and her clerics psychically. 4 of the house's most formidable nobles are linked to one of the Do'Urden priestesses: Risen, Denon, Nalfine, and Zaknafi. People on the streets clear as House Do'Urden begin its march to the Devar compound. Matron Jennifer and her clerics are huddled in prayer to their Spider Queen, and their prayers go unanswered as they realize they are under attack. Risen and Denon watch the ranks of House Do'Urden tear through the Devar soldiers and comment on the brutal effectiveness of their weapon master, Zach Nafane. Malice uses the pains of her labor to send a psychic attack, knocking Matron Jennifer and her clerics senseless. They recover to see Zach Nafane in front of them, who produces a globe of light. He blinds them and slaughters them with ease, even taking the matron mother's tongue with his whip. In a nearby room, Denon and his elder brother Nalfine are comparing reports that Devar soldiers are surrendering and the battle is almost over. At this time, Denon stabs Nalfine in the back, killing him, and announcing that he is now elder boy of House Do'Urden. Back at the Do'Urden compound, Malice names her infant son Drizzt, and Briza begins to sacrifice him when Maya cries out that Nalfine is dead, and that Drizzt is no longer the third son. Briza wants to sacrifice the child anyway, but is ordered by her mother to stay her hand. The Spider Queen is content, and their victory is assured. Vierna comments that the baby's eyes are purple. Such an odd color. Briza remarks that he is only a male and insignificant. Back at the Devar compound, Zach Nafane walks the halls and sees that some of Do'Urden's soldiers have found the noble children of the House Devar and promptly slaughter them, because any noble that survives can lay an accusation and bring drastic consequences to the attacking house. Zach Nafane goes somewhere alone to brood. Raising his fist, he curses the Drow city. Back at the academy, young Alton Devar is summoned to the Faceless One's private chambers. He notices a young Drow cleaning, but pays him no mind. Seconds later, the young Devar is blasted through the door. Picking himself up, Alton flees, but not far, as the Faceless One conjures a spider web to ensnare the young Devar. Alton Devar doesn't understand why the Faceless One wants to kill him, and that his family, the fourth house of the city, will not be pleased. The Faceless One tells Alton his entire family is dead, and he is next. But before he can deliver the killing blow, he is struck in the throat by an arrow from behind. The Faceless One falls over dead, and it is revealed that the boy cleaning Massage of House Hunay is responsible. Massage intends to kill Alton, but Alton bargains with him to allow him to live so he can seek revenge on the families who slaughtered his. He agrees to take up the Faceless One's identity and make Massage his apprentice. After retrieving a black Ankh statue of a panther from the Faceless One's possessions, he agrees and says he will go get the acid to scar Alton's face while he is still ensnared to make the disguise look more authentic. For the next 5 years, Vierna is charged with the care of her younger brother Drizzt, and doctoring him on the ways of their family. She instructs him to levitate 20 feet up and clean a statue's head, but Drizzt fails many times. Briza watches and tells Vierna to use her snakehead whip to discipline Drizzt every time he fails. She does so, and the next day Drizzt levitates the full 20 feet and cleans the statue. When Drizzt is 16, he is visited by his mother, Matron Malice Do'Urden. She says he is officially the second boy of House Do'Urden and threatens to put needles in his purple eyes if he dishonors the family. At this moment, Vierna announces Zach Nafane as he enters the room. Young and naive, Drizzt stands in front of the Drow warrior and introduces himself as the second boy. Zach Nafane says it's time for him to train. Alex says Drizzt is to go to Sorcerer to become a wizard because it seems the natural cause. Zach proposes a test and produces a coin and flips it around and hands it to Drizzt and tells him to flip it the exact same way in which he does. He goes to give Zach the coin, confused as to why the Drow would ask him to do such a simple task, when Zach throws him another coin and says to do it with both hands. Drizzt shrugs and then easily flips both with both hands. Zach turns to Malice, but Malice says that any Drow can perform that feat. Zach produces 2 more coins. 4 go up, 4 go down, all caught in both hands. 2 hands, proclaims Zach. He is a fighter. Malice says she has seen wizards perform such similar feats. Before too long, Zach has handed Drizzt 10 coins, 5 in each hand. He tells Drizzt to catch them all or he will land in Sorcerer, the School of Magic, and that is not where he belongs. 10 coins go up, and in a blinding, whirling fashion, Drizzt catches all 10 coins. Malice glances at Zack, who says 2 hands. He is a fighter, and I am out of coins. Malice chuckles out loud and shakes her head. She wanted Drizzt to become a wizard to replace her deceased son Nalfane, but concedes and agrees the second boy is a fighter. She quickly quips that one day he may be great enough to even become the weapons master of House Do'Urden. Zack takes Drizzt to a room with a mattress on the floor. He tells Drizzt that this was his new home. After a series of questions and where to sleep, eat, and do other things, Zack replies, "You're home." Drizzt says, "It may be messy." Zack says, "It better not be." Drizzt refers to Malice as Mother, and Zack slaps him on the back of the head and tells him to learn his place and address her as Matron Mother Malice correctly. He then guides Drizzt to a curtain. Pulling the curtain back, Drizzt sees an enormous rack of different types of weapons. Zack tells him to examine them all and learn them carefully, and to figure out which ones sit best in his hands. But by the time they were finished, Drizzt would know every one of these weapons as a trusted companion. At the Academy, Alton has waited 16 years to discover the identity of the house responsible for slaughtering his family. He plans to contact the lower planes to speak to his dead mother. The ritual works, and the tormented soul of Jennifer is before him. Before he can get his answers, Jennifer's form is replaced by the yokel of Loth, who spews out thousands of spiders from his mouth to punish the young wizard. Even though Massage warns him not to attack the spiders, Alton ignores him and squashes them, in which they all turn into a ball of fire, causing an explosion, and Alton runs out of the room in flames. Massage says he should have killed him when he had the chance. As training continues in House Do'Urden, Drizzt comments on a certain parry that he believes is wrong, the cross down. But Zack shows him that he is mistaken by sweeping him to the floor. Zack says the cross down is the correct parry and that he has trained many warriors, including his 2 brothers, with its effectiveness. Drizzt is confused at this statement because he has only known of the one brother. Zack tells him his oldest brother, Nalfine, was murdered on the night he was born. Drizzt normally assumes it was dwarves, gnomes, or some foul creature from the surface like the elves, but Zack says no, he was killed by another drow. They continue to train. Malice shows up one evening to see how her son's training is progressing. Zack runs Drizzt through a barrage of attacks, but even though he has learned much, he is defeated by Zack Nafane. Malice announces that Drizzt is ready for the Academy. At Sorcerre, the School of Magic, Alton is visited by Matron Symphony, who comments that it has been 25 years since Joros had been home to visit his room. It doesn't take long for Symphony to realize that this is not her son, and demands to know who he is. Alton reveals his identity and tells her that he is the last surviving member of the Devour household, and Symphony accuses him of murdering her son, in which Massage says, "No, I killed my brother." Shocked but not really surprised, Symphony decides to allow the ruse to continue because that way she would be able to keep a wizard as head of the school. When she agrees to take Alton in under her wing, Alton begs her to tell him the name of the house that killed his family. She tells him that it was House Do'Urden. Drizzt goes with his family as they are summoned by the ruling council to attend a punishment ritual. 3 nights before, House Tekendas attacked House Fref and failed. As the scene unfolds, Zack tells Drizzt that they only failed because that they had failed to kill all of the noble children and an accusation could be made. Drizzt says it is not right, but Zack replies, "It is our way." The ruling council uses denizens from the lower planes to promptly execute the doomed house, leaving Drizzt shocked and disgusted. Back at the Do'Urden compound, Drizzt's sisters confer with their mother about the expressions of shock and disgust that their brother shared at the punishment ritual of the doomed house. They decided his hands must be stained with blood before he leaves for the academy. Transforming a goblin to resemble a drow warrior, the women go to Drizzt while he is training in his room, and Maya tells Drizzt he must defeat her champion and take his proper place in the family and attend Malay Magdair, the fighter's school. Drizzt agrees, and Drizzt easily disarms and defeats the drow. They urge him to kill the drow. At first Drizzt says he cannot, but after continued orders he kills the creature. The women are happy and leave. Drizzt is disgusted. Zack the Faint urges Malice not to send Drizzt to the academy because they will ruin him. Malice scoffs at him and says Drizzt is going. Zack goes to Drizzt in the training room, intent on killing him before the drow can destroy his innocence. But when he sees Drizzt as different, he stays his hand and he tells Drizzt to go to the academy and learn who he really is. Drizzt puts on his sacred family outfit of his house, and he and Denon enter the Fighters Academy unaware they are being watched by Alton Devar, who looks on in disgust. To be continued in part 2 next week. Homeland is actually Salvatore's 4th novel. Even though it is considered the first novel in the Legend of Drizzt series, Homeland is actually the 4th novel that R.A. Salvatore wrote. After the release of the Icewind Dale trilogy, enormous popularity for the character Drizzt surged, and people were wanting to know about the Dark Elf's humble origins, so Salvatore wrote Homeland, the first book of the Dark Elf trilogy that told these origins. It took 16 years before there was a Drizzt comic book. Even though Drizzt has been around in novels since 1989 with the release of the Crystal Shard, the first comic featuring Drizzt was the Homeland adaptation from 2005. The biggest reason is because Salvatore is seriously invested in his drow warrior and wants to make sure that he's treated with respect. He wanted to make sure that his most beloved character was handled properly when crossing over to other media. The Legend of Drizzt series has spawned over 35 novels and is still going today, with a new book set to be released in August of 2023. Drizzt was supposed to be sacrificed the night he was born. According to drow custom, the third born male to any house in Menzo Baranzan is supposed to be sacrificed and given to Loth, the Spider Queen, as decreed by their law. The night that Drizzt was born, House Do'Urden led an attack on House Devar, and Drizzt was supposed to be sacrificed for the Spider Queen since he was going to be the third boy. However, nobody accounted for the fact that Denon was going to murder his older brother, Nalfine, and after the murder was carried out, it was revealed that Drizzt would be now the second boy, and he was spared. I hope everybody enjoyed this look into Homeland issue number 1, the first of a 3-part weekly series. I really did enjoy doing this episode because Drizzt is one of my favorite Forgotten Realms characters, period, and Salvatore is my favorite novel. If you're enjoying the content, please like and subscribe. It does mean a lot to me. I'm going to be posting some links in the description below for some other YouTube content creators. You should check out their stuff and give them a like as well. It would be greatly appreciated. Also, right now we have the CBC Awards nominations going on. You can go to www.cbcawards.org for more information and to nominate your favorite YouTube content creators. Next episode, we will have part 2 of The Legend of Drizzt, Homeland, with issue number 2, continuing that story. And I hope you join us for that as well. It should be pretty cool. And once again, like I said, I want to thank you for watching this video. And until next time, be safe, take care, and God bless. See you.